I heard that, Calvin. They told me, hurry up. But I want everybody to know that I made a speech at the Fellow Fritz Basketball League. And when I made the speech, it was about what we do here in New York, about the Naismith Hall of Fame, which a lot of people don't know because they look upon me as the commissioner of the, I say, world famous, because that's what it is. In China, Ali Evans said they talked about the Rucker Pro Tournament. And I watched all of you. Yes, I'm a product of watching all of you who played there. So what we thought, when I say we, I'm talking about some of the members of the Rens, any younger, and the John Hunter campus. What we thought was that there need to be more people of color in the Hall of Fame. Of course, a lot of you know that Bill Russell turned down being inducted because he said he's known more people of his color played basketball long before him. So that's the fact. You can look it up. That's what he said. And what we said was that after Mr. Douglas, who was the owner and the manager of the New York Rens, went into the Hall of Fame, it was time for the players to go in. They had the New York Rens as a team. They had the Harlem Globetrotters as a team, but they did not have individuals. So we all got together, and Howie Evans made sure that it was in the paper that a star basketball player in the New York Rens from Philadelphia would be the first, because he was the one that a lot of people like Pop Gates told me he used to watch, Tarzan Cooper. And we all got together and we put petitions, and Tarzan Cooper was inducted into the Naismith Hall of Fame because of the work people like you and you. That's what happened. And we took buses up there. And then the next person was Pop Gates. Once again, we did the same thing. We wrote letters, we signed petitions, but there was a difference with Pop Gates because Pop Gates had played in the National Basketball League, which is not the National Basketball Association. It was the National League and then the Association of Basketball of America. And they merged to become the NBA. But Mr. Harrison, who was the owner of the Rochester Royals, spoke up and said Pop Gates was a star in this league. And there was no question about it. Even when Oscar Robertson said something about Pop Gates, Pop said, I was a star on every team I played. So I just want you to know that that's a little history of what's been going on. And then it was time for John Isaac. And they refused John Isaac. So we said, we used to get at least 78 to 100 tickets and take buses up there. And we said we were not going up there anymore unless John Isaac was going to be inducted into the Naismith Hall of Fame. Now that's the pledge that we made. And I said to the Fellow Fritz League, after going to see John, I will be back. I will be back so we can continue this. I called Howie Evans. I told Howie Evans everything I'm telling you. And I spoke to Brooklyn, USA. Their Vice Chairman, Sally Walker, is here, and he said he will join the coalition. I spoke to Buddy Fletcher from the courts. I saw Buddy earlier. He said he wants the Courtsman to be part of that coalition. And we also will have the Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce. We will have Our Children Foundation. And of course, the Rucker Pro Legends, and the National Association of Each One Teacher. We were all joined in a coalition. And I'm so happy that Sunny Hill is here, and I hope Philadelphia, the Bakery, and I hope you guys will join us in this coalition, because we've done it before, and we can do it again. I just want you to know, and John was part of the royal flush of basketball. Tarzan Cooper in the center. The greatest shooter, Pappy Riggs. Herman Taylor, I'm sorry, my brother. Herman is here. One of the greatest shooters, Carl Green Tony. Fats Jenkins, the leader of the Rens. And John Isaacs. Now, the fifth one was this Willie Smith, who John Hunter inducted into the Hall of Fame, because Willie Smith was the tallest. Yes, he was taller than Tarzan Cooper. Or was it Eric Sage? Well, my research is going to go on. But I just wanted you to know about the royal flush of basketball. 88, check it out, consecutive games without a loss. That's the royal flush of basketball. And the World Championship team that won the 1939 World Championship in Chicago that John was on, and Pop Gates, and Puggy Valley, they won 68 consecutive games without a loss. 68 consecutive games without a loss. And then that team went and picked up Charlie Allen, Sr. I know Charlie Allen Jr. is here, and Dolly King. And they represented Washington, D.C. All of this, you can go to Schaumburg and look it up. And they won the 1943 World Championship. So that's 2 World Championship teams that John was on. And in the Eastern Professional League, the Scranton Miners were Eddie Younger, Dolly King, and John Isaac. They won the championship there. So it's a long, rich history. So like Floyd Lane said, and I appreciate them mentioning my name, but I want you to know that we have work to do. And this is something that people in the coalition will be doing, but we need your help. We've always reached out to the public. So that's all I want to say, Lloyd, and I hope I wasn't too long, fellas.
Moving on, by the way, Bob, you asked about Sunny Hill. Sunny Hill's down with anything we do. Okay, right, Sonny? Ain't even no question. And we're down with anything Sonny's doing. So Philly has always been in the house, and we're glad that we'll be partnering on this. Without further ado, there are many great ministers in Harlem, past, present, and future. But then there are some ministers who are truly Harlem. And when you see them, Harlem is in their spirit, in their heart. And I'm pleased that our minister, the Minister for Harlem Week, is here with us, Reverend Robert Roy.
Thank you, Brother Williams. To the Isaac family, to the presiding minister, the Reverend Dr. Gene Callender, and to all of you. First thing I'd like to do, and we can do this very quickly, I'd like you to shake somebody's hand. Just shake somebody's hand. And this is what I want you to say to them. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. You're here. Now turn around and tell them this. I don't know about you. I don't know about you. But if you think you're the only one, looking good in here, take a good look at me. the Isaac family be aware of. And to all of you who are here, first, I'm amazed. I thought I was being invited this morning, family, just to a going-away celebration. But as I looked in the room and I saw some faces, those with gray hair and those bald, I said to myself, this is the largest gathering of senior citizens that I've been in quite a while. Somebody ought to say amen. But on a serious note, I thank God that the preacher is going to come forth in a little while. I've heard the folks talk about the Hall of Fame, where he ought to be and where he is. But the greatest Hall of Fame is when you see your King Jesus. Yeah. Come on, somebody. John was a peculiar fella. He could be the most stubborn, ornery human being on earth. Yes. If he believed he was right, even if you were right, you were wrong. Hello, somebody. But I didn't come to talk about all of his achievements. You know all about it. I came to talk about something that John would have wanted me to say to all of you. John would have said if he lived, and I'm one of those kind of preachers that can't stand the pulpit. John would have told you, I'm more concerned about these multi-million-dollar basketball players. Big contracts, and ain't giving nothing back into the community. Somebody ought to say that. That's what it's all about. John gave all that he had. He lived for the community. Believe me when I tell you. Somebody came here today and said, my God, he lived a long time. You can make him live right now by committing and recommitting yourself to your community. Snatch them little boys out there, like somebody said, with the pants hanging down almost to their knees, and tell them, hey, you may not be a basketball player, but you're a young black boy. Come on, hold up the dignity of your people. That's what you need to tell them. That's what John would say. John would have said, now listen, family, I know some of y'all are young. I lived 95 years. Look what I've lived through. The World War I, II, Korean War, all that mess. And then the amazing thing, that on January the 20th, never thought I'd live to see it for the black president. Come on now. He would have told you. Don't sing no sad song for me. But there's nothing sad about me. And those that knew me well would know I would cuss you out. Hello, somebody. And you know he would. John would have said, I don't want no long trek. Because I was a Christian, but I wasn't a real heavy follower. He would have told you, listen, do me a favor. Save all that long sermon. Don't preach about me and what I did. Talk about my young folk, the ones in the Bronx, Queens, and Brooklyn. Talk to them. Find a way to save my children. Don't spend no time talking about me. And then John would have said, I'm going to take a seat. John would have told you, I lived 95. Long years. Good years. They all weren't sweet. I had some rough days. I had some folk that didn't treat me well. But I kept on pushing. I kept on. He would have said, and the funny thing, as I take the seat, John would have said, you know, most folks that come to funerals, they don't come because they're so in love with you. Come to see see if you're dead, so make sure they don't have to pay you back. Then you got the other folks. You got the other folks. They come find out what you died of. And last but not least, and this is good for the family, you know. Got some folks come to the funeral, all they want to know is how much did he leave. If John would have told you in a minute, it ain't none of your business. As I take my seat, we ought to be thankful to God that you had a man among you who not only lived a long time, but he served his community. He served his community. It wasn't just about basketball. It was about saving our young people. Pick up your newspaper. We're killing each other. I wish you could have looked up in the balcony. A bunch of young kids up there. We've got to find ways that they can emulate us. That's what John would have told you. Keep on talking about the Hall of Fame. You got to be thankful to yourself first. You got to do it for yourself. Am I right or wrong? Let me tell you this, and it's all over for me. You family, you had one of the great black giants. Never forget it. Save your tears. Because John would have told you. They don't want you crying. Because most of you, if you start crying, you'd look ugly, then you do that. John would have said, I'm going on. I'm going on. I hope you live to be 95. But if your time is cut short, just make sure that you're on the King's Highway. God bless you.
You have a slight indication as to why he is our minister. Minister for Harlem Week and the minister for the Harlem community. Just briefly, a letter from 3 key members of the City Council of New York. The Honorable Larry Seabrook, good friend of John Isaacs, and the Speaker, Christine Quinn. It reads as follows: to the family and loved ones of John Isaac, on behalf of the New York City Council, we would like to take this moment to extend our heartfelt condolences to you on the passing of your beloved family member, friend, and colleague, John Isaacs. As trying as these times may be, we hope that you're able to find some comfort in your many fond memories of John as an athlete, coach, mentor, and great person. He inspired and empowered. Truly, he was one of our most prized and beloved, tallest of trees. He was an extraordinary man. John was a true champion. While he was undoubtedly a world-class basketball player with many hard-fought victories to prove, John's greatest achievement was his dedicated service to the countless children he counseled and mentored. John's impact was felt far beyond the basketball court, and it's our sincere hope that his legacy may continue to inspire athletes, educators, sports enthusiasts, and young people for generations to come. Our thoughts and prayers are with you, the Honorable Christine C. Quinn, Speaker, the Honorable Inez E. Dickens, Majority Whip, and the Honorable Larry B. Seabrook, Council Member. One of our heroes, the great Judge Bruce Wright. And many of you recall that when they were deriding him as Cut Him Loose Bruce, we were clapping and we were saying he's our hero. And to continue his legacy is my good friend and brother, the Honorable Keith L.T. Wright.
Lloyd, to the family, to the clergy, good morning. I will be very brief here. I know people have been right on the money about John. But at the tender age of 54 years old, I was not around when they named John Isaacs the Boy Wonder. But I can tell you, as someone who has grown up with great people, I've had the opportunity to be around Thurgood Marshall, Langston Hughes, Huggy Bell, Dolly King, some great, great people. Art Blakey, John Coltrane. And as a kid, you just had no idea who these people were. They were just people. I just wanted to go out and play basketball on the Riverton playground. But when I met John Isaacs 30 years ago, I knew that he was great. You just had the feeling that you knew, that I knew, that he was great. And he let me know that he was great. I've had the opportunity as a Harlem kid to, and I like to fancy myself as playing in the McCullough Fritz League every once in a while. Especially when my team is getting ready to go to the championship, I'll show up at the last game. But John Isaacs would always talk to me, demanded to talk to me. No matter what I was doing. I think it was Fred Crawford said he would talk to him on the bench. Well, just when I was about to get my 2 minutes in the game, John wanted to almost give me a sermon, I guess. And I listened. He taught me an awful, awful lot about life, about politics, about anything. And like E.F. Hutton, I would listen. John was my main man. He always made me feel as if I were the most important person in the whole wide world. He knew my name. Listen, this man was 95 years old. He was born when Harlem was just about to turn black. Let's be clear. He lived through the cultural, intellectual history of the Harlem Renaissance. And as Bob Royal said, on January 20th, he got to see the first black president of the United States, the most powerful man in the world. He got to see it. So, with that, you know, I may have lost a great advisor. Lord knows he wanted to talk about politics, and he was up on the news up until the last day. And Harlem is a better place because we were able to rub shoulders with John Isaacs. The city of New York is a better place because John Isaacs was here. The nation is a better place because John Isaacs was here. So be assured that whatever I can do on the political level, governmental level, David Stern will be getting a letter from me concerning John Isaacs and the national basketball program. Thank you very much.
Good friend and our Assemblyman, Honorable Keith Bell T. Wright. I'd like to, as we talk about history, ask a true person who played and really by his life example was and remains history. Many of us have heard, of course, some of us have a limited memory of the Negro Baseball League. And one of the players from the Negro Baseball League is with us. He's been kind to me for many years as my coach at the 113th Street Trotters. And he is Jim Robinson. Jim, would you come to the forefront? One of the living members of the Negro Baseball League.
Good morning. First, I'd like to express my condolences to the family, and not only the immediate family, but everybody else in here, because we're all part of John Isaacs' family. You know, Floyd Lane mentioned something that was very similar to my experience. I was at the Y, Harlem Y with the Y Cubs at the same time Floyd was with the Y Junior. And there were always a lot of Reds around, sitting around watching. And John Isaac was one of those people. And it seems to me that every time we were practicing, John Isaac had something to say about how we were practicing. At that time, I wasn't quite sure who he was. But Mel Glover, who was my coach at the time, said, "That's John Isaac with the New York Rens." And I said, well, from that point on, if I did something, I'd call timeout and I'd go over and say, "Mr. Isaac, is that all right?" John and I, we did a lot of things together. We went to a number of award programs, Connecticut, New Jersey. We'd go to the Pop Lloyd weekend in Atlantic City. And everywhere we went, John was acknowledged. Everybody was so glad and so honored that he was in their presence. And everybody knew him. But John was really a world figure. And to this day, to this very day, you'll find that whenever we talk to somebody about basketball, history, then we mention John Isaac, there's no question that right away they will know who you're talking about. John was feisty, it was mentioned a couple times before, very opinionated, and he let you know what if he didn't like it, if it was something that you disagreed with him, but he always felt that he had as much information, if not more, and he would stick to his point. And John, beneath all that feistiness, he was really a warm guy. He was a giving guy. He gave a lot. He shared information. The fact that he was still working until the day that he was found in his office and he had a stroke, he was still giving. And that's what I remember about John. The fact that he was giving and he had no intention of ever stopping. So I think his legacy is that we were all here for a reason, and while we're here, we will find a way to give, share information, and that's the loveliest way any of us can do. And I think that if John, in fact, John is probably, he's right here now anyway, he's probably saying amen to that. Keep on giving, keep on loving, because that's what we should be doing. I thank you.
The great Cal Ramsey is in the house. Thank you. Without further ado, we don't really need to introduce him. It's very interesting because, you know, there's always this Philly, New York battle, you know what I mean? And then there's the Harlem Bronx drama and the Harlem Brooklyn drama, and then nobody liked Queens because who were those guys, and all of that sort of stuff. But Brooklyn is in the house, by the way. So if you don't know that, Brooklyn, the Brooklyn crew, let's hear a clap for Brooklyn. Bronx is definitely in the house. Okay, Queens, you gotta compete. Queens. It was always like that anyway, right, Bobby? We know this real. Philadelphia's in the house. Let's hear Philly. Okay, always let's hear large numbers. Can we hear it for Harlem? When we talk about those areas, a person who has represented us wherever you go, if you're in Queens, if you're in Philadelphia, if you're in Baltimore, if you're in Bronx, he's one of yours. Earl, the Pearl, Monroe. Numbers. Can we hear it for Harlem? when we talk about those areas, a person who has represented us wherever you go, if you're in Queens, if you're in Philadelphia, if you're in Baltimore, if you're in Bronx, he's one of yours, Earl the Pearl Monroe. Earl, come on up. Only reason I introduced him because he moved to Harlem up now. Leave him back there.
Well, thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to say, give my condolences to the family. It's been a heck of a week for me. I'd also like to say thank you to Reverend Royal, who gave the award to Martin Luther Day at this church. Thanks very much. It's a sad day in some respects, being here. It's always a sad day when we come together like this, but on the other end of the spectrum, it's a great day because we are here to celebrate the life of a person who lived his life well, left a legacy that we all will remember. And I had been in New York but for a few weeks when I first met John Isaac. And for all that time, I've been getting wisdom from him every time I see him. One of the great things that my wife used to say is that John is coming. Let's get ready. But, you know, I'm listening to all the things that have been said, and I feel the same way about John, and also about the Hall of Fame situation. But I'm listening and I'm saying that we have Brooklyn, we have Manhattan, we have the Bronx, Queens, and whatnot. And we shouldn't get so bent out of shape about the Hall of Fame situation because, you know, we should have our own Hall of Fame. We should put together a place because I'm listening to Bob McCullough, listening to all the other historians. Even though we have someone in the Basketball Hall of Fame, we don't have the legacy of knowing what the whole history of Harlem or New York is all about. So why not try and get together all the different Hall of Fames that we do have here in New York, get together and make one Hall of Fame. A Hall of Fame that will be in New York, a new place. And have a place for it. I know we do have Hall of Fames. Everyone has his own Hall of Fame. But we don't have a place that people can go into and look at and see who those guys who are in the Hall of Fame, what their contributions were, and how we benefited from today. I'm quite sure John would have wanted to have that because look what he's done. He's brought all of us together. And being together is what it's all about, especially here for us. I moved to Harlem a few years ago, and I've always been on the periphery, so to speak. You know, being in Philadelphia, being from Philadelphia, and then coming to New York, I was always thought of as kind of an outsider, but he's here. We got So when I heard my name being called to come up and say a few words and whatnot, Sonny Hill, my mentor, hit me on the side and said, you know, you represent Philly. So it lets me know I'm really getting old because now I'm representing a whole city. But, you know, I think we all have been blessed because we've had a chance to interact and touch with John Isaac. And I think we, you know, as Keith rightly said, you know, we're all better for it. And I know the things that I do and say and whatnot, you know, a lot of people don't listen to me the way that they listen to John, because John can get you in the corner, and there you are. But as far as I'm concerned, you know, we're all better for him having been a part of our lives. He'll continue to be a part of our lives. And let's keep thinking about us. Get our own Hall of Fame.
just be about us. Have a place that we can go and see and interact with the people who come through. Because this is Harlem. People come here from all over the world. They want to see it. We should have a place for them to come and see our heroes. Thanks a lot.
Earl Monroe.
It's a real honor to have this opportunity. But I'm human, and I realize that you all have been here for quite a while. You've heard a good sermon by our brother Royal. You've heard quite a bit about our dear brother whom we come here to celebrate and honor. And you don't want to hear a whole lot from me. I know that. And you're not. But I just have a few things to say. I could say a lot because there's a whole lot of people in here that I know a lot about. If you want to hear some stories, I can tell you all about Pee Wee Kirkland, and tell you all about Dean Meminger and Cal Ramsey. These all boys that grew up in the basement of the church in Massive with Leroy Otis and Zach, who was very, very instrumental in having Johnny Isaacs come to the Church of the Master on November 9th last year. That's only a couple of months ago. But the fellows got together from Young Life and the Harlem Prep and the street academies that God was using me to get started in Harlem to help these young men. And they came to honor me. There's something they decided on their own, and they came in a large number of them came. And along came Johnny Isaacs. And that really moved me immensely, because I had seen Johnny Isaacs a couple of times play basketball. I just had my 83rd birthday. But in 1939, when I graduated from Cambridge, from Webster Grammar School, we had given gifts to go to the Boston Garden and see the old Boston Celtics, not the new Boston Celtics that started in 1947 as part of the NBA, but the old Boston Celtics play the New York Rens. And Johnny Isaacs was on that team, and he was the star that night. And I was so impressed by him, I wanted to be like him. So when I went to Cambridge National High School, I went up with the basketball team, and I went to practice hard just so that I could be like Johnny Isaacs. And I made the team, and then I got to go to Boston University, and then when the Celtics, something we know of today, started in 1947, their opening night in the Boston Garden was a lousy team, and they weren't the Celtics as we know had won 18 championships. But to bring a crowd to the Boston Garden, they had the New York Rens come there in 47, and Johnny Isaacs was there, and I got a chance to meet him and shake his hand. And I think that one of the things that I would see, when I think of Johnny Isaacs and all those other basketball players that I saw in Boston Garden in 39 and 47, it seemed to me that to measure the work of those men, really measure the work of those men, because they worked under hard circumstances. Now, they didn't get to Boston Garden on no airline. They probably had to either drive themselves or take a bus, and no hotel to sleep in when they got to Boston. And then it would take a thimble to try, it's like taking a thimble to try to empty the ocean. It would be as if one sought to measure the expanse of the heaven with your human hand. That's what a great achievement this is. This is a marvelous achievement that we should really honor, and somebody spoke to that today about the Hall of Fame, and I think Lord is absolutely right. The real Hall of Fame is our ability to love and appreciate what they have done, not only for us, but for this country.